Okay, here we go. Our spring foil technique. So I'll separate the front and the back with sections. And I'll begin with a horizontal section. Now the technique I'll be using through the back is bricking. And it allows me to cover a large area with less foils. And the color I'll be using is 11 Ash with 40 volume developer. So it'll allow me to pull the hair pretty light without pulling too much warmth. Now this next section is slightly diagonal. So the first one is horizontal, the second one is diagonal. And then I'll place the seam of the foil as close to the roots that I can get without going over my foil line. Okay, I don't want leakage, I don't want those rabbits. Okay, now once I close up the second foil, the next foil is diagonal but in the opposite direction. So notice I go from horizontal to diagonal, right to left. Third foil is diagonal, left to right. So when these three sections fall naturally, again, the color distribution, it can cover a large mass area. So it allows me to use less foils with a higher effect, and the less chemical on the hair, the healthier the hair was. So our fourth foil here, now I'm going in horizontal, and I'll go and I'll take a quite heavy of a weave. Always get the foil right up there at the hairline and get the product as close as you possibly can, again without going over your foil line. So next foil. Now the head starts to round less here, so I'll take the rest of the foils just with horizontal sections. And as I do my foil work, I always aim to have my work area and my product in the same half foil area. So I look at a foil, I'll divide it in two, and I don't like my longer lengths to surpass that half foil mark. So again, going back in, weaving the hair. Okay, so again, place the foil right at the seam, hit the roots, and then the longer ends, I'll lift, I'll drop, I'll lift, I'll drop, so I have my working product and my hair all in the same area. So that way your work will become more refined, you save a lot of time, and it's the smarter of the two options. Otherwise, you'll have to go chase down the hair with paint throughout the entire foil, which can be done. It's done all day long, but from all of our technical options, that's not the smartest choice, because again, you waste time and you're not as accurate in the foil. Okay, so I'll be working the side area in horizontal sections, and right at the hairline, I'll always take a piece of that hair. The amount of hair that I take depends on the density of the hair. So I'll start off with a double weave and I flip that into a slice, just so that the hair doesn't fall too heavy at the hairline. Okay, now these longer lengths, see, I lift, I lower, lift, lower, so all my product and my hair is at that 50% mark in the foil. And that also allows for a greater distribution and saturation of the chemical product within the foil. And it helps with that expansion, because as a chemical processes, we will get some minute expansion of the product. Okay, and now as I work through the top, I'm taking diagonal sections because her parting naturally falls from left to right. So I'll start off with a weave and I'll adapt into a slice just to get that. If I'm around the hairline, I want to kiss that area a little bit softer. I don't want like this big bulge of intense color this time around. Right now I'm going for a more softer aesthetic, so less is more. If I wanted to see a more dramatic effect, then I would take that area very heavily. So I can use the same technique but adapt it to the end result that I want, and that's fine, so long as every minute motion has intention and a clear focus as to why you've adapted that technique. And as I work to the top, these diagonal sections, I'll start to pivot more and more with each progressive section. So I will be bit more horizontal towards the end of this large section as opposed to when I started. So again, these foils, they gradually pivot slightly. Apply the product in the mid shaft, then gently touch up the roots. And again, these longer lengths, I'll lift the hair, I'll hit them, I'll lower the hair, I'll hit them again, I'll lift the hair up. Because I already have product under, so if I just place a hair on top and I hit it with product on top of that, then it cuts. I'm more streamlined with my technique. Okay, so still working the same manner. Always get an even distribution of your product at the half mark. Closing up the foil, seal the edges, pat the product down, and on to the next. So notice my angle here is a little bit different than the original angle, and that's because, again, I was with each progressive foil through the top, I would pivot that angle just slightly, and that will give me an even more natural effect. Okay, now for the opposite left side area, it's the same technique, but I'll start my slice from the back, and as I reach the hairline, I'll take a little tiny weave, and that's for the same reason that I work on the opposite side. I just want it to fall a little bit softer at that hairline. Okay, notice how here I can just keep all the chemical in the same area, and sometimes I'll seal up my foils on both sides. Sometimes I'll just flip it over. It just depends on the amount of product that's actually in the foil, the density of the hair. Okay, so again, the same technique. And now pay attention to my next challenge with the next section. Her hairline, the hair is quite fine, so I can leave it out. If I took a lot of that hair at the hairline, first it would go light very fast. So if anything, I can leave it out, and after my entire technique, I can just go in and freehand paint some tint on those really fine hairs, so that way the end result won't be as light as if the color were in the foil, because if I pop that in the foil, it would become significantly lighter than the rest. And especially around the hairline, that would really stand out. Okay, so now jumping into the blow dry, I'll use a paddle brush and I'll just leaf and bevel the hair. I'm using a tremendous amount of tension in the beginning when the hair is wet. As the hair becomes significantly more and more drier, then I'll lessen up on the tension, and my aim is always to get that cuticle nailed shut, because when the cuticle is shut, the end result is super shiny. When you finish off the hair properly, once the hair is dry and you run your fingers through that hair, you really want the hair feeling like silk, like seriously silk. If it doesn't feel like silk, if it feels a bit scruffy, go back and nail that cuticle a little bit more. It may take you another 2 or 3 minutes, but it makes a big difference in the overall aesthetic, in the overall shine. And even when you finish off a technique with the client in the salon, when she touches her hair and it feels like silk, that's like one of the most impressive things we can do for our guests. Okay, and there we have it, our spring bricking foil technique. Enjoy.